Yo, we out here now. We're gonna do some apexing. What's going on here? The old iPod having issues. Oh wait, you're not an iPod, you're an iPad. My bad, iPad. Oh my god, is YouTube down? Is YouTube down? Is YouTube down? What happened? Is YouTube down? Let's check on this phone. Looked like YouTube loaded immediately.
So I compared Jade to the hot girl from Full Metal Alchemist, but I couldn't remember the character's name, and I wanted to show Jade the character. So I search on Google, hot girl from Full Metal Alchemist on my iPad, okay? Last night, my boyfriend and I are talking about something. He grabs my iPad to search something up. He opens up Safari, and the first thing he sees is the Google search of hot girl from Full Metal Alchemist. Watch him click on it, see the tablet, turn his head slowly to me, look me dead in the eyes, and just go, why? And I kept asking him,
Oh my god! You did what?
Nothing down there scares me.
Grapple, locked and loaded.
Introducing your champion. Come on, let's see if we're a match.
I love celebrating with my best friends. That's you. Folger, let's go over there. Hostile spotted. Target over there.
I look like a crazy person right now. I just got back from the gym because I needed to blow off some steam. Fair warning, I'm about to start screaming and spitting. This is probably the most emotion you will ever see from me. I'm about to get animated like a Pixar character, red in the face with steam coming out of my ears, because I am infuriated. I am livid. I've made a couple videos bringing you up to speed on a situation I've been dealing with the U.S. immigration. In a nutshell, our esports team, Moist Esports, has one of the best Apex rosters in the world right now. We're second place in A, and we're in a really good position to win the major. But the major is happening on U.S. soil, and the red-blooded patriots of U.S. immigration refuse to let our team come in. Our team is Australian. So we were initially declined and had to pivot, get them to Canada so they could compete in a split, and we resubmitted, and our resubmission has just been declined again. For legitimately no real reason, because the fucking glue-eating, crack-smoking, coke-snorting, lobotomite morons at U.S. immigration just don't want them in the country for whatever reason they're drumming up here. We have been working with the best lawyers in the industry, the best lawyers on this fucking planet that specialize in this field, and none of them can believe that we've been declined again. They've never had these issues before, so they're as stunned as we are. We even have one of the highest level executives at EA going to bat for us with U.S. immigration, lobbying for us to try and get our team in here because our team is very important to the esport because we are so highly ranked. And even with the goddamn Avengers on our side, U.S. immigration slams the door in our face and turns us away like it's a lacrosse house party in college. They're Australian gamers. We're not trying to sneak in fucking Viltrumite aliens.
On my back!
That is the issue. God, troops, I would hate to meet our U.S. immigration agent in real life. It'd be like meeting Goldberg. It'd be like meeting Scrooge. Like an absolute absolute joyless fucking husk of a zombie. It can't even be a real soul. There's no way there's a human being that's handling our case.
Pick me up. Pick me up.
Because
me up.
there is no reason
Thank you.
being declined. They're not even giving us reasons that make any sense at all. Not to us, not to the lawyers, not anybody. Nobody. And no other esports team has had this problem. Every other org that has international players got in lickety split. Fucking Speedway. Meanwhile, we can't. We literally can't. I'm convinced that if Jesus Christ resurrected right now, U.S. immigration would turn him away. He wouldn't be allowed in here. We'd never see him. Now let me slow down real quick, because maybe you guys aren't understanding why this is such a huge.
I broke one.
And this major is huge.
The one on the right is broke.
Obviously,
It's down.
they're very passionate about this game and this esport. So they need to get in the country to play in this major because it's an in-person land. They can't compete from Canada. It's happening in America, the home of the fucking cheeseburger and the Budweiser. It's happening here. So they need to be here physically to compete in it. No holograms, no force ghosts, no AI, duplicates, replicants, nothing. It's gotta be thin, flesh and blood, which is off the table now. I think a lot of people had a bit of confusion with the last video about this because the Apex Boys, our team, has been in America before. We even made videos together with them at our warehouse. But there's a difference because they were only here for
Good work.
2 weeks. I think it was even less than 2 weeks. And then the major was overseas, so they weren't here for a long time. This time around, we needed a different process because they were going to play the whole split in NA. So it needed to go through an entirely different procedure to allow them to stay here for that period. And since we keep getting declined, they are now no longer allowed to just come here temporarily. All of that's halted because they're under our Moist Esports blanket. Now they can't come here just for like that 2 weeks or anything. It's totally different. It's all changed, which is why we had to work with so many lawyers to try and get this process moving, and we just kept getting declined. So now, they can't come into the country for this major. They couldn't even show up on the day to compete. Plus, they wouldn't want to do that anyway because they want time to practice, obviously. So that leaves us with only one fucking option left, and that's to cut our team. We have to release one of the best teams in the entire Apex circuit, because that's the only way they're going to be allowed in the country. They can come here as long as they're not being represented by us. As long as they are not represented by any org right now, they can come here and compete. So that's our only option, because we obviously want the best for these guys. We want them to shine at the major. So in order to do that, we have to let them go. It's like that fucking scene in Pokemon when Ash sets down the Pikachu and runs away crying. That's us. That is literally what we have to do with our team right now. We have to cut them so that way they can compete at the major. Because we're out of time. We can't resubmit again because this process is abominably fucking slow. Weeks just to get 2 sentences back from the U.S. immigration dinosaurs, the fucking fossils that are just bones and dust in those chairs at the agency there. Like, we can't do this again because we don't have time. The major is right around the corner. So, we are officially releasing the Moist Apex Squad. Unfortunately, we got the bad ending to this fucking playthrough here. And it's no fault of our own, by the way. We did everything by the books. We worked with other orgs, too, and so many different lawyers that specialize in this. And we did everything right. And still got slapped by U.S. immigration raid bosses. Ridiculous. So, I actually cooked up a theory. One that a couple of lawyers actually agreed with me on as the most likely culprit for why we kept getting declined and are still currently rejected. Our name. I hypothesized this in the last video I made, but I wasn't entirely subscribing to that belief until now. The name Moist Esports may have had a role in us being rejected. May be the only reason we were rejected.
Can you mark them?
At U.S. immigration, it all falls onto your particular agent. It is entirely their discretion whether or not you are allowed entry into the country with whatever you're submitting and whatever you're doing. You have an individual agent that handles your case. It is highly possible, and according to some lawyers, not unusual, for them to decline things based on very trivial reasons. And they never conveyed that the name was an issue to them, by the way. That would be something that's so petty that they probably would never put it in.
They're split now. One's under you.
Shameful. But it is possible that the name Moist is the reason why. Because Moist is a word that is a little yucky to people, makes them feel a little icky.
What the fuck? How'd I get fucking flanked on?
Really didn't like that word, didn't take us seriously, and said, nope, we won't be dealing with that. Fuck. And I think that's the most likely,
Fucking stupid.
possible explanation for this at the moment. Because there's nothing else. There is actually nothing else that could have possibly gone awry in this process on our end. I hope the ghoulish heathen in charge of our case is proud of themselves for this. No, I'm just kidding. If it's anything to change.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I hope for the urinal cake that handled this case is that they get fired. That is the only solace I will find here, is if I learn that at some point whoever took this case is let go from US immigration, because the country would be much better for it. I think they are so bad at their job that it borders on being criminal. Like, they should be charged with treason for how poorly they've handled this case.
Dylan, it's not
6
as bad.
months.
I mean, I
6
haven't
months of
noticed
work.
it
Well,
since I've
a little
started
less
playing
than
like
6
this.
months. And never once did they
It
give
might
us
not
a
be
real
as
reason
hard.
for why we were
I just need to
declined.
get
The
movement
reasons they
and
gave us
keys
were
down.
nonsensical. And when we were inquired for more information to rectify those problems, we submitted above and beyond the requirements, and still got declined numerous times. I think this whole experience should be pretty eye-opening to a lot of people out there, to the blatant corruption in US immigration. Like, this is so bad that it's almost comical. Like, if it wasn't so incredibly detrimental to our organization, I would probably find it laughable. Like, that's how awful, horrible it is, and how bad of a state U.S. immigration is in. Like, just take a step back and really analyze this. The best lawyers in the world that specialize in this field.
Left, left, left.
I was about to say that was yours. What the fuck, though? What the fuck? Look at that.
Let the games begin. I think we should
What
go
the
there.
heck?
No.
Listen, I think it'd be great to have him there. Apparently, his parents signed the release form.
Yeah.
I think it would be hilarious to have an actual 17-year-old just with 30-year-olds. That sounds really bad.
Bro, I broke fucking 2 up here. They all fucking were chasing hard.
You know what? Chance of the yes, guys. There it is. Chance of the
Fucking
yes.
pussies.
Emmy.
You know, I liked the video. I thought that.
I'm sorry. That made me uncomfortable, and it is a no for me.
Well, I'm surprised because usually everybody said yes.
What?
Personally, I liked the video. I thought, what's fucking funny? But yes, I.
I think it would be hilarious to have an actual 17-year-old just with 30-year-olds. That sounds really bad. You know what? Chances of yes, guys. There it is. Chances of yes. Emmy.
You know, I liked this video and thought that if
I put the time in. I've earned my stripes. We're in this
I'm sorry.
together.
That made me uncomfortable, and it is a no from me.
you sound like that, you said yes. Personally, I like the video.
This is a good LT.
Oh, that's my train of thought. I don't know what I was gonna say.
Hold on tight. It's time to drop, shock, and rock.
Say yes. I don't.
Well, see, I can even show you
Let's
the
reposition that.
ghost partials in real time, which is I flatten your thumb, okay, and then you pull it over your outside your teeth here. You pull it over the outside like this, okay. So I'm tightening my thumb back into the middle of my mouth, and I'm flattening it back out again. And then you go, ha 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 ha. Yeah. Isn't it great? Yeah.
There's a weapon supply bin just here. Heard that. Flatline here. Got some extra supplies here. You're welcome. Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
See what's in, see what's in, see what's in! Jesus Christ.
Attention.
That kid almost hit me, Chris.
The battle happens quick. Be ready. Heads up. Ring's closing in 1.
Ooh, yes, that's the shit I love.
Champion 35. Ring ain't close. Nice. Champion's out. Let's go that way. Massive shock on here. Extended light mag here. Level 3. I need it. Yes. Seconds. The ring is close. Watch the map. We're spread too thin. There's an evo harvester here. Warning.
I don't think you're ready.
In progress.
I really don't think
Optics
you're ready,
here.
but
Sniper. Makes your platform more versatile. Moving. Come on. Anyone outside of it. Leveled up. Let's see what the duck
what was that?
Let's go here. Allons-y. Extended light mag here. Level 3. Thanks. Ultimate's off cooldown. Who wants to save rank?
What was that?
Looks like a care package is coming in. Big things in that. Extra supplies over here. Pay attention. Dropship up there. We should move here. Wonder which upgrade I should get. Hostile spotted. Enemy spotted. Got an upgrade. Gonna put it to use. Let's reposition there. Too spread out. You want to end up in a body bag? I sure don't.
You're saying this guy looks like me? Okay, is this cute if I do this?
New kill leader appointed.
Is this cute?
New kill leader, eyes out
Like,
for
do I look cute if I'm with someone? Seriously, does this look cute?
Here's your birthday
That's what I
present.
fucking thought. You know what I'm saying? Oh. This right now?
Stop! You're looking at active cameras! You actually
Thermal stabilizer here. Level 1.
the active cameras! Do you actually expect my entire screen to be counted?
Enemy! Over there! Spotted, taking fire. Let's check out this area. Optics here. Mid-range. Always better than iron sights. Recharging my shields.
What the fuck?
Who is he talking to?
God, I'm getting chased.
I just want people didn't even have to get shots to see how great I am, right? I only did their fault. Like, I put it 2 weeks ago, I did all this time, like, part of the room. And, like, people didn't even fucking try on them, bro. Oh, there's your place.
Here's draw me if you need. Just giving my shields a recharge.
Apple lets you repair your phones with used parts this time. The Humane AI pin seems like a disappointment, and AMD getting stuck on the new GPU. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to go over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Friday, April 12, 2024. We're going to start off today with the big news that Apple released regarding how they're going to allow you to service and repair your devices. This is a change that they're making to their iPhone repair policy, which makes it so that now you can have certified used parts actually go into your phone, meaning that you don't just have to pay for brand new replacements on various different things. This includes a whole bunch of different parts, including biometric sensors, but it will start with the iPhone 15, and this will also be rolled out to not only the service departments, but also for the self-repair section, so that you can repair your own phone with used parts that are certified by Apple, which Apple is still doing this because they have their parts pairing process, which makes it so things like the screen or the camera have to be bound to the actual device ID of your phone, which they say is necessary for different things like privacy, security, and safety of the iPhone, which they do have like a modest argument in terms of this makes it so that you can't have a harvesting factory for stealing iPhones, taking out the parts and then putting them into different places. There has to be some sort of parts compatibility on that side, but then anybody who's against this is just saying that this is preventing third-party repair shops from having an honest litany of used parts that they could put into a different phone, because, you know, they have headphones that are coming into their shops all of the time, and now they can't scrap all of those and reuse them in a way that's appropriate. So this is frustrating for a certain sector of people. It is better than it used to be, but there is some legislation that's in the work in certain states like Oregon who's trying to get parts pairing banned, which could potentially change how Apple chooses to approach this in the future. But it's a step forward by Apple. For a lot of people, it's not far enough, but I think we can celebrate the win while also recognizing that it introduces
set an alarm for 2:15 p.m.
But a problem a lot of people do like to have is, where do they put all of their hard drives? Where do you stick them? I personally delete all of my storage, but if you're one of the people who likes to keep it around, well then today's video sponsor Silverstone has got something for you. Their CS832 NAS case is here. You can check it out at the link in the video description, but it's a compact micro ATX case that's a culmination of everything Silverstone's learned after selling NAS cases for more than 10 years. They started with the DS380 in 2013. It has 8 hot swap bays that support 2.5-inch and 3.5-inch drives, up to SAS 12 gig or SATA 6 gig, and all of them can be locked behind a beautifully designed, vented, and filtered front door that also keeps access to buttons and I/O ports safe from intentional or accidental access. They've got other cool features like the inclusion of a 5.25-inch drive bay for further storage expansion, a slim optical drive bay, long graphics card / RAID card support, a USB-C port, large air cooler support, and liquid cooling support for a radiator up to 280 millimeters. You can really pack this thing out. It's one of the very few modern NAS cases, and Silverstone's here bringing it to you. You can check it out at the link in the video description, the CS382 NAS case from Silverstone. Big thanks to them for sponsoring today's video. But you know what doesn't have hard drives? Macs, okay? Because Apple wants to make them as thin as possible. Now they want to put in as much AI as possible. It's being reported that the M4 Macs that we're expecting to get launched at the end of the year are going to include AI cores and AI features, and it's gonna be a big ol' Apple innovation fest. That's what AI stands for. You thought it was artificial intelligence, it's really just Apple innovating everywhere. I don't have much to say about this besides they kind of have to. Right, the AI wave did not die down as quickly as crypto did in a few different places, and it's being viewed as kind of the bastion of what publicly traded companies have to do if they're in the tech sector. NVIDIA caught up to Apple just by virtue of the fact that they are powering all of these AI machines, and so, of course, Apple's going to have to do it despite the fact that for the past few years / months, they have refused to say machine learning, artificial intelligence. It was not present in any keynote, any public presentation until they launched the Vision Pro, because that's kind of when it reached this fever pitch of you have to talk about it, which is exactly what this next little bit's about. The Humane AI pin. In case you haven't heard of it, I'm thankful for you, and I hope you continue to be naive. Maybe just skip past this part. It's a little device that's made by former Apple engineers that's supposed to bring AI to the literal palm of your hand, and it launched yesterday, so a lot of reviews are coming out for this thing that costs $700, the cost of a smartphone, plus a $24 a month mobile data plan, and turns out this thing is not great. It's kind of like a lot of the first wave NFT Web3 crypto stuff. It makes promises that it can't deliver on. And I guess I personally am feeling a lot of schadenfreude about this. I kind of thought this was a ridiculous thing. Like, I do enjoy when there is new tech that serves a small subset of people that, like, is supposed to be niche, but it's, like, really cool. Like the NAS case, right? I personally don't like hard drives. I don't want a spinning disk anywhere near me. But I understand the population that this is going for. For the Humane AI pin, I feel really hard to see who this is actually for, where it solves no problems that many people have. It feels like it's just being shoehorned into tech bro, crypto bro lifestyles, and I personally don't like it for that reason. So, like, I have a lot of bias, negative, whole dislike for this thing, and including the fact that it gets hot and that it's slow and it doesn't do too much. However, photos look pretty good. It's well made, like an Apple device, and it's much easier to access than your phone, according to The Verge. And then Engadget says that it's a novel projector that beams a screen onto your palm, which is, it's kind of neat. It's like kind of a new way of interacting with tech. I kind of want to see where that goes, but the fact that it has to be tied to AI is where I feel misses the mark. Effective interpreter mode, thoughtful design touches. People are liking the design, but then it runs hot, it's unreliable, slow, projected screen relies on tiresome and finicky gestures to navigate, expensive for what it does and for battery life. Just boy, what a device. Which is what I say about Reese. What a divisive man that guy is. He's always starting some feistiness. Got me! Got me! I don't know if Reese did deals because he said he had to, like, leave Pretoria for some reason. I don't know if he's on the hunt or the prowl or he's got to escape or something, but Intel, he's got a purple suit. Is he the Prowler? Oh.
You're going that way?
Oh, I got it. Well, yeah, you might be prowling for some Intel 13th Gen K-Series CPU, but you're not going to be able to get them because they're discontinuing them. Intel releasing a report yesterday that
doesn't know how to
their
use the
13th Gen K-Series SKUs, so the overclockable ones, are going to be gone as of May 24th. This applies to the ones that you can buy at retail the boxed ones. OEMs and HP, Dell, Lenovo, all of those companies are still going to be able to put them into their pre-built systems, but the last product will be shipped out on June 28th. Now, with this, there's probably a lot of speculation of like, oh, look, we just talked about the story of Intel CPUs are dying, and now they're discontinuing them, which is like very likely not what's happening here. The Raptor Lake 13th gen were very close to what the 14th gen were. It's probably cannibalizing sales. They left it up for a little bit. They're still going to be selling 14th gen. I don't believe 15th gen's coming anytime soon, or if it's supposed to be called like Core Ultra 200. I don't even know what the name scheme's going to be. I don't really even care at this point. It's ridiculous. But I don't think this is tied together in any way. These are probably just separate machinations that are going on at the exact same time. So we'll just have to wait and see what Intel has to say about why their CPUs are seemingly struggling in a bunch of different applications. But in case you want a new AMD CPU, they launched some of those on April 1st, and everybody was like not paying attention because they only did it in China at a special event. But worldwide, you can now get the 8700F and the 8400F. These are CPUs that are based off of the APUs, the ones that have integrated graphics, but now they don't have those graphics. They got no internal graphics, and they don't have Ryzen AI baked inside. But one of the funny things they say is that you can add a GPU and then you get Ryzen AI acceleration. But in case you want GPU acceleration to keep coming to those APUs, turns out we're not going to get much more past RDNA 3.5. That's supposed to be coming to the upcoming APUs later this year. They're going to have slightly faster Navi graphics that's just a little bit better than what's in current iterations, like something like the V1 Extreme that's in the ROG Ally. It's supposed to be a little bit of a boost. It's not going to be based on the new RDNA 4 architecture that we're expecting to go into the RX 8000 series CPUs. However, on top of the fact that we're getting the RDNA 3 Plus, turns out AMD's just going to sit there for a while. According to reports, they aren't planning on upgrading it until at least 2027, which is very reminiscent of the time where they just sat on Vega from 2017 to 2021. They had one GPU architecture that worked in small form factors, and they just kept riding that Vega train until it got out of breath and couldn't continue. So it seems like we're getting a similar situation with RDNA 3 Plus. It's going to be sitting in mobiles and handhelds for a long time coming, so maybe don't expect huge leaps, gains, and jumps to be happening in the handheld scene for a little while, unless they start making like custom chips that are specifically supposed to go in things like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally. And this does make a lot of sense. RDNA 4, which is going to be in the new desktop chips, is supposed to be a massive departure. It's no longer going to be multi-chip modules. It's going to be based on a big monolithic die. They're reworking a lot of things with this new graphics setup, so the fact that they're going to keep things stagnant for a little while on the more mobile side and probably focus on AI for a while checks out in my book. And you guys wrote books and pod books and comments yesterday, so let's review those. We got Cam saying, the problem I have with Windows is that Microsoft is trying to serve two masters, the customers and the shareholders. When Microsoft puts ads into my paid operating system and they're not serving me, they're serving the shareholders against my wishes. I do not want to share ownership of my PC with Microsoft's stockholders. If Windows was free, I could at least see an argument for ads, but the double dipping against my wishes is frustrating. Seems like such a small deal, but they're slowly boiling the frog and making other OSs, Mac and Linux, like more desirable. Okay, I got a couple things I want to talk about here. It's just going to be the case with every publicly traded company. They do have two masters. They have the master of they are legally obligated to prioritize their shareholders, and the way that you do that is by building a stronger business, which means theoretically they should be upholding the customers, but you can sacrifice the customers in the short term to bolster the stock price. So that creates frustration, but that is kind of true of any publicly traded company. The second thing is this is not making Linux more appealing to anybody. I'm sorry, it's not happening. macOS, absolutely. People will switch over to Apple, but the only people switching over to Linux are the people who want a Steam Deck to play video games on their handheld go. And then we got Artro saying, can't wait for LGA 1851 to last 1851 seconds before Intel introduces a new socket. And Randall saying, I like the nutrition labels for internet provider companies. I hope they implement this into the cellular network provider companies. Well, not a terrible idea if I say so myself. But then we got T12121 saying, because we have so many different choices, what's the point when you're basically stuck with one ISP? It's not like I can switch to Comcast or any other provider. I'm stuck with whichever one has a monopoly on my area, which I absolutely hear you. But I think that just because you're in a bad situation, which sucks, it doesn't take away the value
I have no
that
idea where you're
provides
shooting
to
at.
everybody else who is in a situation that is not similar
Did
to
one of
yours.
you shoot
Anybody
at me,
who
or
does
was that
have a
somebody
choice now has the ability to
Like a
discern.
sniper
Or additionally,
I
just
didn't.
because
I
you
don't
have
even know where you're
access to
shooting
only
at.
one ISP
I
doesn't
was shooting at
mean
the sky. I
that you
want
wouldn't
people to, like,
benefit
find us,
from
but
clarity
fucking somebody
in
got me
how
from
they're
over there.
pricing things. If you are more informed as a consumer and as a population, then you can also bring public pressure against those companies to be better about their pricing structure, even if there is no competition. There is action that can be done with clarity of information. I see no reason to not support it just because you don't have choices in your ISPs, as much as that sucks. Additionally, I think this also shows that the FCC is looking potentially at making things better for consumers all around in terms of the ISP side of things, and making sure that internet service providers are behaving in ways that are more aligned with the customer, which could potentially mean that competition could be coming if, you know, they start to get things rolling. This seems like a starting point, and I feel like this would be akin to making the argument that we shouldn't have nutrition labels on food at all because candy is obviously bad for them. Yeah, like, I don't need a nutrition label for candy. I know it's 100% sugar and coloring. I know that this is in no way good for me. But that doesn't mean that I don't benefit from the nutrition label being on it in different areas and different regions. So I'm sorry you have to deal with one ISP, but having the label for everybody else still is a great idea in my opinion. Jim Bodie saying, what on earth was that dodgy looking metal object you were spinning by the phone during the noise limitation test? Skylar, can you grab me that? My dodgy looking metal object? It's my prototype LTTstore.com metal screwdriver. I won this at LTX in their charity auction, and it makes this noise. And I realize that necessarily didn't come across because most people don't actually know what this is, but it does make a lot of noise, and it's like a fidget toy in that way. That's what the idea I was trying to communicate was. Also, it sounds like this when you slam it closed. It's great. And I've got PC'd Home saying, it's very difficult to take you seriously when you can't make the effort to hide the one cable over your shoulder. I presume, buddy, you're talking about this one? Which is very short, and, like, I don't have a place to hide it. Which I guess is fair, right? Like, if that is something that bothers you tremendously, I don't think we're the channel for you. Because, like, stuff like that just doesn't matter to me in the grand scheme of things. I got other things that I'm paying attention to, and if that one broke cable's the thing that does it, I'm not gonna fix it. I'm sorry. Also, am I supposed to be taken seriously? Is that a thing that we do around here, Tyler? I said big-breasted anime women yesterday. You think what, like?
I don't even know where you're shooting at.
Yesterday, right? Yeah, like what are you expecting out of here? And then just to continue to be a little contentious, we got Otso saying tensor, not tera. Tensor operations per second when it comes to tops and what that means. And no, you're wrong. It's not tensor operations per second. It is literally tera. It is how many tera operations per second you can do. That is what TOPS means. Tensor it's a specific language that's used for AI. While that is true, tensor cores are in NVIDIA GPUs. Google invented tensor processing units. You're correct. There's TensorFlow. I understand why you think that, but to correct me when you're wrong, come on, man. It takes a Google. You can find out. It stands for Terra. I'm just feisty. I'm okay with being corrected. I'm wrong a lot of times. And when you say I'm wrong, I try to listen. But you know it would be wrong of you to not watch the videos that we have coming out this weekend. In fact, if you want to check it out before they drop here on YouTube, over on Floatplane, we got Kyler tried an Apple Vision Pro knockoff clone. You can watch that over on Floatplane right now if you want to sign up, or you can wait till tomorrow when it drops here on YouTube. But I'll drop you guys off at your place where you are right now, because Hot News is done.
"45 seconds. Rings just up ahead."
Scrappy, what are you doing over there, yo?
Getting high.
Sorry about sneezing in the open air. Apologies.
You getting high?
So
Yeah,
nice
I'm
to
smoking a
meet you.
bowl.
Hi.
That's funny.
Welcome to my
You're
cave.
lagging behind,
Absent here.
Mr.
And
Nice.
behold
No, I'm
Because,
just taking a break and
Julia
smoking some
Child
weed,
was once
performance-enhancing drugs, and then
famous
getting back
chef.
into it.
famous DIY home.
Yeah,
home
meanwhile,
touch,
you'll
it's
put a
different,
fucking
right?
green stim in your
Famous
shut
chef
and
Julia
shit.
Child. She doesn't need any qualifiers. Julia Child was once asked. I don't know why I think she needs qualifiers. Julia Child was once asked, what is the most important kitchen tool in your kitchen? And she said colander. And I've spent like 20 years thinking about that answer because it just speaks to a specific. That answer is always going to
Where are you shooting at?
encompass someone's philosophy of kitchen work, right? What is the most important? For instance, for me, weirdly, it might be clogs of like the thing I go through more than any other.
We're getting shot from 2 ways. We should probably move.
You know, the colander is good for separating and for blanching and for washing and for right. There's all these things. I'm just fascinated that it was Julia Child. Like, and I could be wrong. This quote could be wrong. It could have been misattributed. It could have read the wrong article. Anyway, behold the colander, the mighty colander, and absolutely, no matter what Julia Child thought of it, an indispensable kitchen tool. And this is my son Thing 2's house colander, and it had some feet on it, which is fine. The feet. It had this. It had a ring, and that ring was welded. It looks like, yeah, welded. You can see the scorch marks here on the stainless steel. Welded to that, and said weld has said
First up in the news, we have Tramex TV, XQC, and Jinxie. Now, during a recent stream, Tramex TV claims that Twitch has the biggest view botter on the internet, and they're making tons of money in the process. When Train was questioned, Train revealed that it was actually more than one streamer who's abusing the bot, and states in the following clip: "It's multiple people who are botting massively and making loads of money from it. Minimum between 10,000 and 20,000 bots." Now, Train didn't go as far as to name names, but it set off the entire Twitch community questioning what top streamers could possibly be viewbotting so heavily. And one name that popped up, some people pointed out streamer Jinxie, the most subscribed creator on the platform. Now, XQC coming to defend Jinxie over the Twitch viewbot accusations after Tramex TV's comments. Here's what XQC said in the following statement on stream about Jinxie.
Okay, listen. Whether you wanted to give this or not, okay? People are saying some shiz about Jinx for no effing reason. The reason why his stats were odd for the longest time is that he has drops. And drops act in a very odd ways. It's most unpredictable for stats, and it's just odd, okay? And Jinx had drops for the longest time and made his stats either inflated or weird or whatever. But who the F cares? It's not something that he's doing deliberately. It's not something that he's corroborating or coordinating. Maybe he gained from it. It doesn't take away from his success regardless. Like, I'm not saying defend it, you guys. It's nothing that you're doing. It's not a problem. I mean, those stupid ass streams that get bought, it's like 2 million viewers. Like, I'm sure. Look at that guy's Twitter. Look at his newest tweet. Like, are you kidding me?
After XQC's comment, Jinxie then exploded on XQC. Here's the clip.
Yo, XQC, I don't know if the Adderall is affecting your brain right now. Dog, you're looking at active chatters. Do you actually expect my entire stream to be... You don't want to...
Maya talks about a stalker 3 years ago.
And like, you know, he would say he was coming or whatever.
He's broke!
Or like, show me that he was actually coming here. And then I'd have to like hide with a gun. Like I would literally hide in a dark room clutching a gun. What the hell is my life? It's so weird to talk about that. Like that's something that I did. But yeah, it was really bad for that amount of time. And one of the, this is not at all the worst part, but one of the things that really sucked about that for so long is that nobody knew about it, right? So then I would like have to skip streams or whatever, or like do short streams, and then people would be like, she's lazy. People would be like, oh, why is she in such a bad mood all the time? Why is she complaining so much about streaming? If I...
So the brand looks.
Listen, I think it'd be great to have him there. His parents signed the release form.
Yeah.
I think it would be hilarious to have an actual 17-year-old just with 30-year-olds. That sounds really bad.
You know what? Chances of yes, guys. There it is. Chances of yes. Emmy.
You know, I liked his video. I
You
thought
can get
that
me here.
Classic soda popping.
Start. That made me uncomfortable, and it is a no for me.
This didn't have to happen.
JJ.
Well, I'm surprised because usually ones like that you said yes. I personally I liked the video. I what's so funny?
Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Wait, hold on, I lost my train of thought. I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes. I don't.
Miskiff plays wrestling with extra emblem.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Come on, we've got work to do. I'm always dressed to kill.
Squeaks with the hot take.
I think, here's a hot take. I think we need a woke agenda. Not for any political reason or whatever. Just because, like, what else will after school if like, what's he gonna talk about? So, like, take some woke choices. Otherwise, what the reactor's gonna do with this thumbnail. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, with like a female protagonist in a Star Wars game. I'm like the middle, and then they go, "Oh, dudes." Oh, bros. No, dudes.
There's a team under us.
Gold's house.
I think they're landing below.
I see an enemy over there.
I was about to say that's yours. What the fuck, though? What the fuck? Look at that. What the heck?
Optics here. Sniper.
No.
Streamer dodged child running into the road.
Round one. Beginning ring countdown.
Like that champion
What's
with
it
all
doing?
the
Next ring spot.
你不要再跑了，我已经要撞到你了呢。你走路一定要左右看呢，好吗？没事，我怕我撞到我小朋友。
Austin Show discovers somebody selling his merch without his consent.
Okay. Are you serious? That's for real. That is real. We looked that up on the website. It's on there right now. What the? What the? Since when? Let's see that again. I mean, the dimensions are all everything. Yeah, the logo is like kind of spilling off the bottom. Totally illegible. You can't even see the heads at the top. It's really poorly printed. What? Please, somebody's got an entire merch site selling my shit. Someone's what the? Someone's capitalizing on my joke. Your joke. I'm literally looking at this in real time. Somebody's created an entire merch site with all my merch. Make any
level 2.
Yes, that will do nicely.
Wait, what the?
Rings more than.
What's it called? What? Kid doesn't know about him. Pulling kids. He's just so bouncing on. Look at him, he's about to. No! He's saying truce. Oh no, he's holding up a sword, Chris. Chris. No! No! He's trying to wave it with a sword.
Care package on the way. I like the sound of that.
That's not believing those stories. You're in one. He's just bullying little kids.
My brother recently got himself a gaming PC after saving up money to buy one after wanting one for a super long time. On March 26th, it started having issues where he would go to turn it on, it would load up to Windows, and as soon as he entered in his password, immediately a gray screen would pop up. The machine will give a post, but whenever it turns on, it'll go directly to a Windows repair screen. The previous owner he got it from, his native language was Spanish, and I did Google Translate and went through to try and reboot the system. It said there was an error rebooting the equipment with all of his files. Went to try and also reset it with deleting all the files, completely factory resetting it with the same error message. After continuing to Windows 11, it appears that nothing will load, it stays on a black screen and won't give a post after that. I noticed there was a debug light on, lighting up bright white that is on the CPU, but I'm unsure what the issue could be. Any help would be greatly appreciated. This here is that viewer's broken gaming PC, and in this video, we gonna try to fix it. I will say that when we met in person, the owner suspected there might be an issue with the CPU because of the CPU debug light, which we'll also verify here. But my first impressions aren't CPU related because we're, from the looks of it, the sound of it, able to get into the recovery environment, we're able to get into the BIOS. That tells me that the bulk of his hardware is actually stable. That said, I am ready to dive straight into this one. Hopefully we can get it back up and running for him in no time. Are you ready? Stay with me. If you're looking for a private cloud storage solution, consider the Ugreen NASync DXP 4800 Plus, fitted with exceptional storage headroom, both 10 and 2.5 gig ports, and a 12th gen Intel processor. Remember, it can also be expanded from 8 gigs up to 64, likely more than you'll ever need for a NAS. This Ugreen enclosure is extremely solid, much heavier than I expected, and the hot swap drive bays are very easy to install. And with 4 bays, you can store up to 96 terabytes worth of data. There are other creature comforts about the DXP 4800 Plus, by the way, including an SD card slot, Type-C ports, and HDMI port for on-site streaming. It also doesn't hurt that its all-inclusive software is super approachable for transferring and managing documents, photos, movies, and more. Be sure to check out the link in the video description where you can save up to 35% on select Ugreen NASync models, including the DXP 4800 Plus from March 28th through May 9th. Hey there, and welcome to Fix or Flop. If you're new, just know that everything you see us doing these videos is free of charge to the owners in question. We charge $0.00 to look at a system, to diagnose it, and to replace hardware if it comes to that. Sometimes we have product sponsors that step in, sometimes we have to dip into our own pockets, but we can usually make out on the backside of this each of these videos by uploading them to sites like YouTube. And the reason why this is even possible to begin with is because of your viewership. So thank you so much for clicking on these videos and watching me, hopefully just occasionally, make a fool of myself. Now, if you're curious about specs, I'm going to have Raymond throw this up quickly on screen. You can see this is a fairly humble system. Like, nothing wrong with these components at all. Actually, the combination works quite well. It should be fairly balanced in most titles. If you're gaming in around 1080p, maybe some like 1440p. And of course, you can't go wrong with this generation of Ryzen. Now, I'm really curious about what happens next because I'll admit I'm still a little confused as to what we're actually supposed to see here. I guess we can get to the Windows sign-in page and then the screen goes black or gray or something. Maybe it doesn't go there at all. These gremlins are turning off the power strips all the time. I think it's raining. Come on, yesterday.
The next ring's far. Come on, loot as you go.
The lovely smell. I'm sure you saw in some of the B-roll. The system is a bit dirty. That will be one of the things we address later in this video, even though it's not technically part of the fixing process. I can't,
Is the fight far away?
Give the system back in the current state that it's in. Now, it does tell us that it's, it's in Spanish, but it's preparing some sort of automatic recovery, it's diagnosing the PC. One of their complaints was the fact that the operating system was installed in Spanish. There is nothing sensitive on the drive. In fact, it should be just completely blank now. But I told them that I would reinstall Windows with English this time around so they could actually understand what they were looking at and not have to rely on Google Translate. This pretty much lines up with what he told me. He said he couldn't get into Windows, and he kept getting kicked into the recovery window because, likely, there's an issue with the storage drive, or again, the operating system itself. So the system does post that. Most of the hardware seems stable, and we've been hovering over this recovery window for a few minutes now. Nothing has shut off, nothing has blue screen, and if you're curious what I'm doing, this running the system by HDMI cable to my capture card on my main system, so you have to just stare at me recording another screen, and it looked kind of awful, so you're welcome. Now, the first thing I want to do is actually reset the system and load into the BIOS. I want to see what storage drives, if any, the BIOS detects, and then we'll confirm that visually by swinging over to the system again. Now, it doesn't look like we have an M.2 drive installed. You can see here the BIOS says it is empty, but we do have 2 other SATA drives connected. It looks like a Western Digital, maybe a, what's it, a 120 gig? And then below that, a Toshiba drive. I can't really tell what the capacity is. So it looks like 2 storage drives in total. And if you're wondering, it looks like the only boot option is on the Toshiba drive. Hopefully this is the SSD if there is an SSD in the system. I won't tell you just how long it took us to figure out how to get this little side panel at the bottom off to access the storage drives. We do have some bad news though. I'm just going to show them here from the top down. This here is the Toshiba drive, and above it is a smaller 2.5-inch SSD. That means that the hard disk drive is where the operating system is stored, which is a big no-no. It does look like all the connections are sound, including SATA data for both the drive side as well as the motherboard side, and we are getting power. This hard drive is, by the way, spinning, so I don't see any obvious physical issues. Now, I don't want to leave this on for too long, but I wanted to quickly show you here. We went to reset the system. That was all we did. And now the CPU cooler fan is not spinning. It is plugged in, and you can see off to the right here, if you want to show them next to the DRAM, the white CPU light that the owner was talking about. This very well could be in line with what he was seeing, and I think it's because the CPU is getting too hot. So you can see it is diagnosing the system here, and it'll always, every single time, kick us into recovery. Now, I've tried just resetting the system. I've tried hopping into options here, and just forcing it, or trying to force it, into Windows 11. But every single time we try, see, the screen just goes black, and, well, the CPU cooler just shuts off. It stops spinning, the CPU debug light turns on. This is a really bizarre situation. I've got to say, that symptom looks an awful lot like it's like a CPU overheating, where the screen will just randomly go black and the fans go full speed. Although we do find it weird that the CPU cooler specifically is the only one that just completely shuts off, which is the opposite of what you would want there. The BIOS can actually tell us what the CPU temperature is. I'm curious if it's running hot right out of the gate. Maybe we have an improperly mounted CPU cooler. Maybe we're not using thermal paste, something along those lines. We did notice fairly quickly his BIOS version is quite old. You can see the build date was June 10th, 2020, the most recent.
Yeah, but if your fucking CPU is overheating, you're not going to be wanting to update your BIOS.
Into Max was released in October of 2023. So we're going to flash this BIOS, we're going to update it, and then we're going to try again. I don't think this is going to help the system anyway boot into Windows, but it is just one less thing to worry about here. It's possible we could be getting some weird incompatibilities because of this older BIOS revision. Updating the BIOS was pretty straightforward. This is typical of most MSI motherboards using their flash tool, and we didn't touch anything, of course, during this process. Now, when it hits 100% and the system reboots, we end up here, which was not expected, where we have a system that essentially was doing the same thing as before, where it's stuck on the CPU LED for some reason, and some of the fans in this rig are running full speed. We narrowed it down. The fan that's running full speed isn't actually a case fan or the CPU cooler. It's one of the 2 graphics card fans, which kind of surprised us a bit. By the way, in this current state, we don't have a picture out. No post. Something is really wrong here. So here's what I did. I'm going to show you this in one take. Frame, I'm going to show them up close here what I'm going to do to change this. So I'm going to power the system off, and I'm just going to pull out these 2 PCIe supplemental connectors. Now, of course, your card is not going to run optimally, it's not going to run at all, really, without these installed. You might get a picture out, but it's going to be a very low-profile thing. And, of course, you're not going to be able to game or use your system in really any stable fashion this way. But this will reveal something I think is pretty interesting. So we're going to power the system back on here. And you can see the fan still kind of ramps up, makes this really high-pitched sound for some reason. We don't get LEDs here until now. The CPU debug light is off. Now at the VGA light, which is a good thing. So that's telling us there's an issue with VGA, of course, because our graphics card isn't getting full power. And on the screen, we actually do get a post now, or well, at least a picture out, and it tells us that we need to connect supplemental PCIe connectors to the graphics card in order for the card to function correctly. This is all totally healthy. And I'm wondering now if these 2 cables are having an issue sending, well, reliable power. Maybe, just maybe, we should get our power supply tester. What do you think, Raymond?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Just
We're taking bets that this power supply has an issue. What do you think? 50-50? I don't know. I think this is more motherboard related than power supply related. I just have this hunch. I'm not sure. Alright, so let's see what it tells us. It looks like so far everything is good. Our voltages look right. So far, ripples a little high on that 12 volt rail at times, but nothing too alarming, at least for our tester. Timing all looks to be okay, so yeah, not a power delivery issue, at least what we can see here. It's taken us about like an hour to figure this out. This is only part of the problem, so the issue of the drive refusing to load into Windows. The system just reset. But if you recall before, when we would tell it to reset or attempt to load into Windows 11 anyway, the system would default back to its, white CPU LED, and then the fans would ramp up, especially in the graphics card. Well, it doesn't do that anymore, and the reason why is because of this. This is a speaker. It's just a speaker. And it was plugged into the wrong thing on the motherboard. I should have seen this sooner. So this here is your typical JFP1 pinout. This is for front panel, so your power switch, power LEDs, hard drive LEDs, and reset switch. Unfortunately, the bottom four most left pins were consumed by the speaker, which, well, I'm no electrician, but if you've got a hard drive positive pin connected to a reset negative pin, I don't know what exactly happens there, but probably not good stuff. And by removing this, the system no longer gets stuck on a black screen with an illuminated CPU LED. Two separate issues we were dealing with here. I suspect the other is the storage drive, which we'll very quickly fix here in a second. But this one was kind of throwing us off the scent and also confused the viewers. Why the viewer thought there was a CPU issue because there was a CPU debug light illuminated. It was because of this. Just make sure that you're plugging stuff in correctly. If in doubt, use the manual. There's no shame in that. So we come full circle back to the recovery window where we initially got sidetracked a bit. Hello! That problem. The next thing to do is going to be to install a separate known working drive. I'm going to give them an M.2 and I'm going to install Windows on that. It's going to be a nice upgrade form. At the same time, assuming we can get into Windows
Scrappy DP says,
I'll be able to
not
download
friendly.
Crystal Disk Info and monitor the other two drives in the system, make sure they're all healthy,
Scrappy
clean them up,
DP says,
and we'll leave them in there for things like Steam libraries, etc. in the future. We'll give this Western Digital SN350 M.2 a shot. This is a 1TB drive. It's going to be a nice upgrade for them, and yes, this motherboard does have an M.2 slot, something that you shouldn't have to wrap too much on Ryzen, but always worth a second look. The board doesn't have a pre-installed standoff for an M.2, so we're going to have to steal one from another motherboard box. We've got the drive in here. It's sitting a bit lopsided because, well, the motherboard didn't come with an original standoff, and I couldn't find one that actually fits this board, so it's a little lopsided. But it's better than not being secured at all. We have hopped quickly into our Windows Media Creation tool. You can see the drive. Now this drive had a few things on it, and I didn't clear all those out before we install. But the other two drives in here, the hard disk drive very clearly has a Windows partition on it. The other drive, the SSD, doesn't appear to have much of anything at all on it. You can see it's also labeled in Spanish, and so those are things we're going to fix a bit later. But I want to leave them as is because we're going to dive into Crystal Disk Info once Windows finishes installing. You can see it was pretty effortless to get through this. I went ahead and used generic, and password, of course, this will be set up by the owner once he receives it again. So we load into Windows, no problem, everything's good to go. I install NVIDIA drivers for the RTX 2070 Super. Things are looking good there. Temperatures across the board seem stable as well. The system hasn't been getting very hot. And, well, the moment you've been waiting for, Crystal Disk Info, is going to tell us quite a bit about these drives, the history of the drives, and how much in particular they have been used. I'm really curious about the hard disk drive where Windows was previously installed. So to start, our drive, you can see it's a pretty healthy, young drive, barely used, barely powered on, and overall just a breath of fresh air. Now we move over to the SSD, and well, this is where things get just a tad interesting. So as you can see here, our Western Digital 120 gig SSD has been powered on for a little over 2 years in total. The power on count is 691, according to this Smart Info. And we can see the total number of reads, total number of post writes. This has been used quite a bit. Now, it's not end of life. Well, I have to actually go back and look up this drive's actual rated write count, but overall, it still appears to be functioning properly. I'm going to hop into the disk manager a bit later and completely wipe this volume again, give him a nice empty volume so he can put whatever he wants on it. Now this is this is the grand finale here. The hard disk drive, the Toshiba 2 terabyte. Check this out. The power on count is 3,109, which is a lot, my friends. Now, if you just want to put this into perspective, if you power on your system once a day, that would take you 10 years to reach. Okay, that's a pretty big number. And then power on hours, 74,172 equals 8.5 years that this thing has been powered on, with disks probably spinning for a good part of that. I wouldn't be comfortable putting anything super sensitive on this. I'm going to, again, completely wipe it in Disk Manager, give them a fresh, clean slate, and of course we're going to get rid of that Windows partition because, well, I don't want him mixing up where he is supposed to sign into Windows, and currently you can choose between Windows 10 and 11. I installed Windows 10 on the new M.2, and Windows 11 is on this current Toshiba drive. So just to eliminate any confusion, there shouldn't be any reason to have Windows loaded onto this much slower hard disk drive. I'm going to completely wipe it, and there's nothing important on it, and we can set this up as a provisional Steam library or something along those lines. So now the owner shouldn't be confused about which Windows partition he boots into. I know it's yet a difference there, Windows 10 versus 11, but I don't want to give him a chance at all to boot into a Windows partition on a hard disk drive. Again, there's just no reason to do so. Now, by default, the system should load straight into the M.2 for a much snappier experience. Crystal Disk Info is telling us that all three drives are in good health, which is why I'm going to leave the hard disk drive in here, but I will stress to the owner when we drop this back off that he should probably look for a replacement sometime in the near future. And finally, all that's left to do is take this thing outside and give it a proper dusting. Now, we're not going to deep clean it. This isn't PCDC, although some of you are waiting for that series to come back. We're working on it, but for now, I just want to get some of the surface dust out of here because it looks like maybe some cats or hamsters or something has been
The
living.
battle happens quick. Be ready. We've got a long way to go and a minute to do it. Let's go. 45. Ring ain't close.
And now that we're back in, I'm going to take a few minutes here to adjust cable management. I think it needed it. Just cleaning up where I can. Finish up with the supplemental PCIe cables now rerouted through the dedicated cutout in the basement of this case, and I'll this was really something. Two potential issues. I'm still kind of on the fence about whether or not the speaker was actually creating any sort of issue, but I just know what we were seeing with our own eyes. The system refused to post and would give us that black screen with the CPU LED when the speaker was connected where it was before, which again was not the correct place for it. I think we've got it all sorted now. It should load straight into Windows. Just gonna go for it. See how she does. See, it powers on right away.
Backpack here. Level 2.
Fan curves kicking in. Boots up no problem. And it's starting to load into Windows right away. That is, well, that's just a fantastic sign. Compared to where we started, This thing is super healthy and wants to load in ASAP. This is such a relief. I do believe the system's going to be working for hopefully several years to come. Now that we've got a new drive in there, it's going to make the system feel overall just much snappier than it otherwise would have on that hard disk drive. Still kind of cringe that Windows was loaded on that instead of the 120 gig SSD that was already in there. Well, again, balanced system. No temperature issues. The case is a bit of a hot box. Yeah, I mean, you can make the argument we could upgrade that, but it wasn't broken, and we already tackled another hardware issue by adding in that M.2. So I think we're walking away from this one on a positive note. I think the viewers are going to be a lot happier with the way the system looks now that it's been cleaned up and cable managed. And, well, hey, it's no longer a paperweight because it actually loads into an operating system. So that's always a win. Thanks for coming along for the ride and your patience. And hopefully you found us at least mildly entertaining and just maybe you learned a thing. Consider subscribing if you have not already. Give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was cool. And stay tuned for the next one. My name is Greg. Thanks for learning with me.
I swear, every time I leave, it's now just been drama, drama, drama. Stuff we don't usually cover on the channel, but I don't mind sprinkling it in every now and again. Last time we talked about Jinxie, it was Jinxie versus Clix. That drama was something crazy because I thought these guys were going to be boys for quite some time. Now it's Jinxie back in the drama, but also on a topic of discussion that is very interesting for all streaming platforms, and I think it's going to be a long talking point for years to come in content creation, that being viewbots on Twitch, viewbots on Kick, and viewbots on any other platform out there. It was Trainwreck talking about viewbots and actually talking about who he thinks the #1 viewbotter is. He doesn't name any names, but he does say he thinks the #1 viewbotter is on Twitch, not on Kick.
The #1 botter, though.
I mean, I know who you guys want me to say, but that's not the #1 botter. The #1 botter is on Twitch.
Oh.
Unless you count, like, unless you're counting these people who are botting, like, unless you're counting the stupid ass streams that get botted like 2 million viewers, like, then sure we can. But I'm talking
No.
like
Let's move on from that.
Who's the Twitch guy?
Oh.
It's multiple people actually.
Good PR. That was good PR.
The plot thickens. The plot thickens.
No, it's multiple people that are botting massively and making a lot of money from it.
And by massively, it's just more than 20,000, 50,000. How big are we talking?
Careful, Train. Don't let him do that to you. I would never.
I'd say minimum between 10 and 20,000 bots.
And there's a little bit of irony here, okay? Because let's be honest, there are viewbotters on Twitch. Certainly people take advantage of that. It's the biggest platform for streaming. There's going to be abusers there, whether you know it or don't. Certainly somebody, whether they choose to or not, has viewbots on Twitch. That is fact. But when you go to Kick, I mean, it's all the more blatant, in my opinion. So for Trainwreck to come from this angle and then to not name names and just kind of swirl up this crap storm of, like, accusations towards every streamer on Twitch and Kick, it's a little disingenuous because both platforms suffer with it, and Kick's is blatantly obvious. Like, I was on Kick for a few months now. The chat bots, the view bots, you have no choice and very little defense against them. And so it's pretty freaking bad. This also led to other people assuming that Ronaldo, during that call, was maybe pointing a finger at Jinxie because he rolled his R's in the middle of it. And I'm going to be honest, when I played the clip, Ronaldo, I thought you were doing this, I thought you were implying Jinxie. Even if you've been rolling your R's in the past, everyone knows that is also a Jinxie thing. So for Ronaldo to not think that people would think that, I think is a bit crazy. But again, I got no hate for Jinxie or Ron or anyone in this case. But that led to then Jinxie and Ronaldo having a bit of a back and forth.
And Jinxie or Kai? We don't. Kai is not viewbot and I cannot viewbot. I don't Mike Metzer, you fucking idiot. I know who viewbots on Twitch. It's not Jinxie. I don't actually think it's him. I'm not even just saying that. Everyone's saying. I would stand on business in this chat. I don't give a fuck. It's not. Jinxie bots 100%. Oh, 100%.
Who's the Twitch guy?
And then Ron rolls his R. Like, you make real fucking content. Oh, you want beef with me? I'm bro.
Only 1 minute to go.
Talking about for 5 fucking years. Oh, I want to
Okay.
You dumb motherfucker! I wasn't talking about you! I was talking about Leon! You fucking idiot! You're a dumb motherfucker! That's what you are! I'm not talking about you! You dumb fuck! Shield battery.
And so after all that, then Ronaldo ends stream and he tweets out some stuff, which apparently he doesn't want to be looped into it. I'm just saying, like, Ron, if you think, look back on the clip, and I understand where you're coming from. Like, you were on ours for a long time, but even like when I had first glance, I was like, oh, is he talking about Jinxie? Which again, later Ron says he wasn't even talking about Jinxie, and I'm gonna believe him on that. But given their past little beef 2 weeks ago, because Ronaldo was also involved in the Clix drama in the 2v1 siege, where Ronaldo and Clix beat Jinxie, and then he refused to pay out Clix because Clix tweeted out a picture of his girlfriend Brecky Hill. It's a long drama if you guys have not been involved the last couple of weeks, so let's just rope it back in, because then it's XQC's turn to bite into all of this, and he actually defends Jinxie a little bit with, I think, a very fair take. Now, I was trying to find the full VOD of this. I don't know if it was taken down, and I surfed for a little bit, but I don't know if XQC spoke at length around this topic or had more to say. But I agree with the take that we're about to hear here, because he does say that even if you're being view-botted, most of the time you are not going to know, or at the very least, you're not going to choose to be view-botted, right? Like, if you're a big streamer and you could have 60, 70,000 viewers, and now you have 80, 90,000, it might very well be very hard to tell. And it's certainly, I think in a lot of cases, not going to be your choice, because you're already making millions. And I don't think a lot of these big streamers are choosing to be view-botted. I choose to believe that, especially the people like Kai and Jinxie, and all these big streamers. There's more to name, obviously. I don't think they choose to be view-botted, but they have some viewers who want to view-bot them because it boosts up their favorite streamer. There are plenty of viewers that are willing to do that. Trust me, but here's XQC's take, kind of defending Jinxie.
Unless you count, like, unless you're counting these people who are botting, like, unless you're...
Okay, listen, whether you wanted to give this validity or not, okay, whether people are saying some shit about Jinxie for no fucking reason, okay, the reason why his stats were on for the longest time is that he has drops. And drops act in very odd ways. It's most unpredictable for stats, and it's just odd, okay? And Jinxie had drops for the longest time, and made his stats either inflated or weird, whatever. But who the fuck cares? Nothing that he's doing deliberately. Nothing that he's cooperating or coordinating. Maybe he gained from it. It doesn't take away from his success regardless. Like, I'm always being defended. You guys, you don't choose. Unless like, you don't fucking. It's nothing that you're doing. It's not a problem.
I'm not even stupid ass streams that bought it like 2 million viewers.
Look at that guy's
Twitter. I'm talking.
I sent you. Look at his newest tweet. Like, are you kidding me? Below that.
And then for some reason, Jinxie took this the wrong way, and then went back at XQC for like Adderall use, which was definitely not a good choice, because yeah.
This was the cherry on top. XQC, who I've been a fan of for like probably since 2019. Let's watch this clip. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I proved my point, okay? So, alright, this was a weird time to load up my stream. So, first and foremost, my chat is on followers only mode. That's very important. We'll see why in a second. My chat's on like 10-minute follower only mode. So, XQC is pulling up a website that shows you your active chatters. That's all it is. He's pulling up a website that shows your active chatters.
I think he has like extended follower mode. Yep.
So, in this clip, I have 84,000 viewers. Got it, I got it.
Hey!
6. XQC's friend, I think that's Jesse, says, oh no, he's fine. 69981. So I have 69,900 viewers. So basically, 70,000 viewers, give or take like 10 or 20 views. 70,000 viewers that are actively chatting. Active chatters. When I watch a Twitch stream, bro, I don't chat. That's a lot of people on Twitch. So that literally proves that I don't view-bot. If you have 70,000 active chatters and 15,000 people who are lurking, that is the most normal ratio ever. Okay, cool. And then you go back and you compare that. So even okay. So does he have drops or something?
Not right now, I don't think.
Okay. I mean, 10K is not the end of the world. It's not.
10K is not the end of the world. Yo, XQC, I don't know if the Adderall is affecting your brain right now. Dog, you're looking at active chatters. Do you actually expect my entire stream to be chatting? Every single one of them. When why would my entire stream be chatting? No streamer has ever done that. Even if you look at a streamer with 10 viewers, they probably have 8 active chatters. That is the most fucking stupid thing I've ever heard. 10K is not the end of the world, dude. Shut the fuck up, XQC. Alright. There. Now we're...
And then after that, XQC quickly fired back, showing off his watch, which I'm not going to play for you guys. DMCA music. We're not trying to get copyright struck. You guys can get the gist of the clip, though, because XQC's response was showing a watch that was worth, like, I don't know, $250,000 to $500,000, probably somewhere in that range, which would shut me up right away. I've never even owned a watch in my life, so there was that. And at the end of all this useless beef, because I don't really care where your stance is on Trainwreck calling this out, or Ronaldo's response, or Jinxie versus Ronaldo, or Jinxie versus XQC, I think the real underlying issue here, if you're going to focus away from the creators involved, viewbotting is a blatant issue on all platforms, not just Kick where it is more obvious, but